Hello and welcome to the next set of life sciences lessons in which we are looking at the history of life. We've already started looking at this topic. Today we are going to continue. Let's have a look at what we've already done. We have already looked at the history of life. We've looked at fossils. We've looked at timelines of the Earth. We've looked at the Cambrian explosion of life. And what we're going to look at today are mass extinctions. Concept map for this part of the lesson is all about mass extinctions. And we're going to have a look at when did they occur, why did they occur, and what effect did mass extinctions have on life on Earth? First of all, we have to remind ourselves what is a fossil. And a fossil is a hard part of an animal that lived many millions of years ago. Please remember, in most cases, the soft parts of a dead organism decay, leaving only the hard bits. So, of the vertebrates, most of what we found are actually bones, if we look at this example, but scientists have worked out from the bones exactly what the animal should look like. So any model you see is a scientific representation of what paleontologists think that animal would actually have looked like. Next thing, we have to revise the process of fossilization. In other words, how do fossils occur? It's very important to note that most of the animals that live and die on Earth never made it to become fossils, because fossilization can only occur under very specific conditions. And this is what it is. First of all, the animal has to die. It then has to decay, and the bones remain undisturbed as layer upon layer upon layer of sediment is laid down on top of the skeleton. Then, over millions of years, minerals percolate through the rock in the rainwater and replace the minerals in the bone, and the bone actually becomes a fossil. And last of all, we have to know it's there, and that happens when erosion occurs and the fossils are exposed. We then also looked at the geological time scale, which was looking at life over the past 600 or so million years and seeing how life has changed. And the life in this time has been divided into three eras: the Paleozoic era, the Mesozoic era, and the Cenozoic era. Please don't worry if you sometimes see Cenozoic and Paleozoic spelt slightly differently. That's not really important. You can use any one of the spellings. The important thing in looking at a geological timescale like this is we look at the pictures of animals and how much they have changed. And if we look at a geological timescale, we'll notice their lines. And if we look at the animals below the line and the animals above the line, they are totally, totally different. And the reason is those lines show things called mass extinctions, when many animals died out. And in the geological timescale, there have been 5 mass extinctions throughout geological time. If we have a look, first one is at the end of the Ordovician, then the Devonian, then the Permian, then the Triassic period, and this is the one which we know the most about because that's the Cretaceous Tertiary extinction, which is when the dinosaurs died out. Okay, and here is a picture of dinosaurs, looking at strange things that are happening in the sky. And very soon after that, the dinosaurs became extinct. Oh, and when I talk about very soon, okay, this is geological time we're talking about. So speed in geological time means it takes about 2 million years. That's fast in geological time. Now, how do we classify what a mass extinction is? Okay, and first of all, it's where more than 50% of all known species die out or become extinct in a relatively short period of time. And a very interesting thing is 99% of all species that have ever existed on Earth are extinct. Now, this is a problem because when animals go extinct, lots and lots of them die. So what happens is the biodiversity of Earth is reduced. So mass extinctions reduce the biodiversity by killing off groups of species. But after these species have died, there is also a growth of other species. So after a mass extinction, we see a diversification of life. Okay, so if plants and animals in a habitat disappear, it creates new opportunities. And the animals have now got empty habitats, lots of resources, so those that have survived the mass extinction can actually thrive and diversify. Now, in your lessons, you might have looked at something like this. Okay, and what this is a graph showing how the biodiversity of life has changed over the past 550 or so million years. Let's have a look at what it's actually telling us. So, if we look at this, we can see that the number of different groups of animals, in other words, the biodiversity, goes up and down. And there are 5 spots where there have been very, very big drops. And this one, the end Permian extinction, is the one that has created the biggest drop. In other words, it killed off the most species. But please note, after that, what happens after each one? We find a spurt in the increase in biodiversity. But before we go any further, I think it's time for a break to refresh your brains a bit.